Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking all about the difference between connecting to your higher self or your soul and connecting to the Akashic Records. I actually got this question on another YouTube video. My sister Lucia and I actually did a whole episode about this on our podcast, so I'll make sure to link that on the description box below. And my idea was to make my own video about this because I got this kind of message to separate everything into sections, into different descriptions or categories, which I thought was going to be a little bit easier to understand in video format. Yeah, I think it'll make a lot of sense for everybody that's going to watch this video. So let's get right into it. So the first big difference between connecting to your Akashic Records and to your higher self or your soul is the way you connect. So the Akashic Records, you really have to go in with an opening verse. There's no other way that I know of accessing the Akashic Records. Although as you become more practiced in the Akashic Records and opening them very often, which is kind of where the point that I've gotten to now in my journey, I can think about the Akashic Records and they open. I put that intention forward. Even with people, I can just think about their records, I can think about them, I can think about helping them, and it opens their records. There is some kind of intention setting, there is a formal opening verse with either your own name or the person's name that you're opening, and that gives you access to the information. With your higher self, it's a little bit different. I think it's a little bit easier. And we'll talk about other differences in a second, but connection-wise, I think you can really kind of obtain this connection to your higher self or your soul through many ways, right? I do it through meditation or breathwork and meditation. I do it through yoga. I do it through just stillness and silence. I find that that really helps me connect and really find like the connection to myself and my soul. It really helps me listen to my intuition and listen to whatever kind of intuitive hits I'm getting. You don't need a verse to do that. You can sit in your room, on your bed, you can put the intention of connecting to your soul. And I always like to imagine our higher self, it's like this point above your head, right? If you can stretch your hand, I know you guys can't see it, but if you stretch your hand kind of above your head, the higher self point is kind of considered there. So you can maybe even imagine yourself connecting to that higher self point. And like I always said, and I've said in previous videos with intention setting is everything. So if we have the intention to connect to our soul, we're going to find that, we're going to connect with it. But we need to put in sometimes a little bit of work, especially if we've been so disconnected for so long. The next category is information. When we connect to the Akashic Records, it really is about receiving information. This Akashic book has so much, it's so dense, it's so profound, the information that we can get from the Akashic Records, that it's pretty crazy. And then sometimes I get surprised with when I do a reading with the information that comes through when I open my own records. So generally when we're connecting to the Akashic Records, it's to find information. We're even asking questions in order to receive that information. So after we do our opening verse, we're going to ask questions. We're going to receive information either in writing format or voicing it out loud, depending on if you're reading for yourself or somebody else. And this information really can be very healing. It can really allow us to understand things about ourselves or our past, heal and let go of things, and really help us kind of move on with our life in a different way. And not only that, but when we connect to the Akashic Records, we're connecting to the fifth dimensional energy. So that helps heal us as well. With our higher self connection or our soul connection, which we can do, like I said before, through meditation or connecting through mindfulness or yoga or whatever way that you find that is kind of authentic to you or something that you might be already doing. And if you haven't found the way to do that, then I would encourage you to kind of practice different things and give it a go, but also give it time, because sometimes we can be blocked in different ways. With the higher self connection, we're connecting not for information necessarily, it's more for grounding, to feel more into our body, to feel connected to ourselves. Many times, especially with the world and everything going on and just life in general and work and to-dos and everything, it can be really hard to feel connected to ourselves. And we feel like we're separated or that we're here but we're not here. So I think connecting to your higher self can be such a great way to like bring yourself back to center and allow yourself to kind of just listen to yourself more, because then we're living more of an external life, right? We're listening to what other people are saying. We're following rules that other people are giving us. We're not listening to what we know that we need for ourselves and what feels right and like kind of listening to our needs, right? So I think it really helps us listen to our intuition and helps guide us in a better way because we're in a more aligned energy. When we connect to our higher self, we're more likely to receive intuitive hits, kind of intuitive information, listen to ourselves and our needs. And this is where I think people that are more intuitive really get the benefit from this, because they're definitely connecting to their higher self, their soul. Otherwise, they wouldn't be receiving those messages. But also, they're generally more authentic to themselves. They listen to themselves. They'll take it slow when they have to. They'll take action when they need to because they are listening to themselves and they know what feels right for them and not for anybody else. So in essence, they both help, right? It's not that one's better than the other or that one's working and the other one's not working. It's you're going to use them differently. So I always say learning to read your own Akashic Records is great. It's never going to be something that you're gonna regret because it's gonna help you receive information, feel more connected to yourself as with connecting to your higher self. And I also think it's really easy for us to go about life not connecting to our higher self. I mean, I did it for many, many years. And now that I'm more and more connected to myself, it's like I just feel more aligned with the decisions I make, listening to myself, which is also always something so hard for me to do. And now it has become so much easier because I know that I can listen to myself, I can feel it in my body, and as I'm constantly connecting to my higher self, I'm also kind of not wanting to align with things that don't feel right for me. So I'm more inclined to say no to things or to choose things that feel better for me. So the last category is use. With the Akashic Records, I generally feel that you're going to connect because you have a question, you want to receive guidance on something or struggle, or maybe something that you need to decide. So it will help give you information. So it's your intuition does kind of get involved in that, but it's your soul, right? Your soul is in the reading when you do your Akashic Records. I think there is something to that that's a little bit more profound than just connecting to your higher self, because you can get explanations, you can get ideas, you can get guidance in a way that to me feels you could possibly receive it through connecting to your higher self, but it will give you way more information for sure. And the Akashic Records really is a tool to connect to ourselves, to our divine plan, to our purpose, to understand our mission. It's going back to that category of information. It's so much information, so much that we can extract from it if we're willing to receive that information and ask about it. It can provide us with so much clarity, I think, which our intuition can provide that for us, but it's in a different way. It's a completely different energy around it because you're receiving like backup information. Like, for example, if I ask about my mission, I can understand it through a feeling, through my intuition, but if I ask it through my Akashic Records, they're going to say, they might give me an answer to my mission and my purpose in this life, and they'll explain why. Like many times you'll get that explanation of like, it might have been from a past life, something that I'm bringing into this life, or that my soul is needing to accomplish these things and this is why it's part of my purpose. So you might still get the same outcome in the sense that you're going to make the same decisions, but the Akashic Records can clear up things that I feel that your higher self many times may not be able to do. Of course, there are outliers in every situation, and there might be people that they connect to their higher self and they receive all this downloaded information and stuff, but that really depends, and I don't find that to be the case in general. When we connect to our higher self, it's about listening to our intuition, it's grounding our energy, it's centering ourselves, it's feeling more mindful. It's also bringing us these messages, probably like we were saying before, like intuitive hits, right? It can give us these incredible intuitive hits, and I receive those very often, and it can really help us make better decisions too. I'm not going to say that one's better than the other, they're just very different, and I think we need to be doing both. I don't think that we need to be prioritizing one to the other. I think both need to be kind of a part of our lives if we want to find clarity, we want to find guidance, we want to feel supported, we want to be supporting ourselves and listening to ourselves. I think it all comes hand in hand and it all kind of helps each other, and you can come full circle that way, right? And really get the best of both worlds. I've also found that through connecting through my own Akashic Records, it's easier for me to connect to my higher self. So when I'm outside of the Akashic Records, I still feel like I'm connected to my soul, and I'm able to be more and more intuitive as the time goes by. It's like that Akashic connection just kind of continues in my life. And in order for me to connect fully to the Akashic Records, I have to be very connected to myself. Otherwise, it's not going to be such a strong kind of message or download or channel that I want to be. So I think that really does help me in many ways. It's like vice versa. But personally for me, it has been the case of the Akashic Records helping me with my higher self connections. I'm sure everybody has their own story around that, but I kind of wanted to break it down in 3 different sections because I thought it would be really helpful to understand it in a different way. And I think the example I just gave, I think that will help you understand what kind of guidance you can receive from an Akashic Records reading. And I've talked about that in past videos, so I'll make sure to link those below. And then the higher self, that's something that we all need to be working on regardless regardless of if we're an Akashic Records reader or not. We need to be trying to connect to ourselves through meditation, through breath work, through yoga, through mindfulness. It could be through your walks in the morning or your exercise routine. You know, we're doing those things to feel connected to our body, to ourselves, and we can make anything mindful, and we connect to our soul whenever we want. We have that power. It's just our decision and our free will to do that and to decide that. I hope this video clears up any doubts that you had about your higher self connection and the Akashic Record connection. It can be a little tricky. I can see how it can be a little confusing, especially since the soul is very much kind of linked to an Akashic Records reading and we are receiving information about our soul. But the Akashic Records are very information dense, and they really do go into so much information that it's hard to compare it to our higher self connection. They're both important, and I do believe that we need to be as connected to ourselves as we can. It helps us live a better life, live our purpose, follow our mission, and really just feel more aligned in our life and what we're doing and enjoying our day, feel grounded in our life, in our decisions. It's all helpful. Regardless of what you are doing, I hope you are trying to connect to yourself and finding that peace and that stability and that grounding in your life. And I will see you guys with a new video really soon. Thanks guys. Bye.